While various domestic and international sources have claimed over the past 5 or so years that the Canadian housing market is ripe for some serious retrenchment, the monthly numbers seem to indicate something completely different. Outside of the major centres of Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary, Canada's housing market's performance has been mediocre at best and downright weak by other standards. Let's take a quick look at the latest national housing numbers and then identify what is currently the hottest housing market for Canadians. According to the latest figures, Vancouver, Calgary, and Toronto were responsible for a third of all sales in the country and almost half of all the dollar value of deals. Vancouver's August sales were up 18% over the last year, while Calgary and Toronto were up 13.6% and 4.2% respectively, indicating these cities were responsible for 33% of all sales in the country this year. In comparison, almost half of the remaining major markets in Canada reported declines in sales activity during August. In particular, the national average price and year-over-year increases in growth continue to be skewed by activity in the Greater Vancouver and Greater Toronto areas, which, not surprisingly, are among Canada's largest and most expensive housing markets. The national average price for homes sold in August of 2014 was $398,618, up 5.3% from the same month last year. Excluding these two markets, the national average price fell to a more modest $324,738, and the year-over-year increase shrinks to 3.9%. But wait a moment, do these numbers indicate that one of either Toronto, Vancouver, or Calgary is Canada's hottest market for real estate this year? Not really, because the winner is actually Florida. That's right, the land of crocodiles, Cubans, and CSI Miami has lured Canadians, thanks to its cheap prices, to invest over $2.2 billion in real estate last year, making us the Sunshine State's #1 international buyer of real estate. Canadians, 90% of them paying cash, were responsible for almost a third of all international transactions last year, with half of them spending less than $200,000 US, about half the average sale price of a home in Canada in August. And Canada is not just a recent entrant buying up property in the Sunshine State, but has been the #1 for 7 straight years, dropping somewhat after a peak in 2011, but rebounding strongly since that time. What is even more interesting is that according to the latest numbers, not even a falling Canadian dollar seems to be able to stifle Canadians' desire for a piece of property in Florida. Canadians' favorite places to buy real estate in Florida are, in order, Tampa Bay, Naples, and Fort Lauderdale, while the famous Miami Beach seems to be getting a little too pricey to attract a lot of snowbirds' interests. Majority of Canadians, 53%, plan to use their Florida home as a vacation property. Another 14% plan to rent it out for investment purposes, and 17% indicate they will do both. Only 7% of Canadians say they bought a home purely for retirement purposes. Sure beats Regina in the winter though, doesn't it?